Okay, this is going to be the Affinity design tutorial where we are going to make the Pokemon card or the general playing card. Now, I had to not press the home screen because there's student names on there. So I just press this plus button over here, which is the new, it's going to give you a prompt or a new screen where it's going to get you to make a new sketch. Now for this particular one, sorry, I say sketch, I mean a drawing. That this screen, we can change it depending on what we're doing. If we are using the laser cutter, oh, can someone turn the lights off please so you can see the whiteboard better? Next to the door, press that box. There you go, thank you. So if later we're going to do stuff on the laser cutter which we can do the size of that larger wood, but for this one, you see the size of those Pokemon cards in front of you. We can fit at least 9 of them on a page. So for this particular one, we're just going to go to A4, and we're going to press this A4 down here, which is more than enough size because our playing card's much smaller than an A4 page for this task. We just want to make sure our card fits on it. We're going to press A4. We're going to make sure here that we have RGB/8 selected. And we're going to have our document in millimeters. And then we'll press Create Document. And we're going to be greeted with a flat page. So let's have a look at, if we go over here, we want to basically we're doing a Pokemon card for my tutorial, and I'm going all the way back to my youth when I was your age, and we had the base Pokemon set, which over here I've gone to a website, and you all have papers in front of you that have all these proxy Pokemon cards printed in front of you. Where's the Pikachu? What? Oh, is it not here? Oh, sad. There's no Pikachu there. We have all of them but the Pikachu. Oh, here it is. Yeah, here we go. We got Pikachu. So we look at an old style Pokemon card. We're going to make something similar to this. Let's look at some features that this card has, and we're going to try to copy as many of these as we can. There's clearly a picture of Pikachu over here in the middle, right? And that can be a picture of your dog, your pet, whatever you have. Is going to be there. We also have stuff like a name tag over here. We have Pikachu's the name. You can pick the name of your thing. We also have some elements of a playing card because this is from a card game. And so some elements from the card game is we have like hit points. We have in the Pokemon card game, these are called attacks. So he has Gnaw and Thunder Jolt. And these attacks in the card game have some certain damage they do. Some of the moves have effects. And they have these symbols over here, which is how much energy cost you need for these effects. And there's other game-related stuff like weakness and retreat cost, and Pikachu has a typing of electric. That stuff doesn't really matter because we can change that based on our card. But some things that do matter is some graphical features that we don't really notice, but it's what's going to really make our card look better and more authentic. Pikachu over here is a nice artwork, and we can get our nice art. We can put our picture straight into that. And there's even some Pokemon here, like if you look, the Staryus almost look photographic. Over here, the image. Weedle does not look photographic. Magnemite looks like it's been made in a 3D rendering software, right? That's a theme there. Same with the Ghastly, looks like it's a bit rendered. And then as we go to some of the Kakuna again, that looks like it was made for like a TV series. But a feature that I like, if you look at these psychic Pokemon like Haunter over here, we see that we have the picture of Haunter, and then we have the background of the card is purple. What is in between Haunter and the background of the card in our image? What would we call this gold stuff around Haunter? Yeah, a border. There's a border around Haunter, or the image of we pick for our thing, and there's also a border on the edge of the page as well. These are features that make the card look more polished. There's also things like down the bottom, there's like a descriptive box of some text, and that text has a border as well. So when we want to do our card, the minimum we want is we want the image of our creature. We want the card to have some sort of background color. We want a border that goes around the image of our creature, and we want a border at the edge of our card. That's the minimum, and then we'll start putting stuff inside our card to make it look good. Now you have the cards in front of you and you've measured them. Now, if you've measured your cards, you'll actually notice the printed out cards are slightly smaller than the actual. I have a real Japanese card in front of me, but it's the same size as these blank template cards you have. These cards, if I measure them with my ruler, I believe I see here they have a thickness of 63 and a height of, let's say, 88. That's the height that I get in millimeters of the blank card we have. And if you measure it on if you measure the pieces in front of you, you'd see that it's less. They're actually 59 by 59 wide by 84. So we can't use this as a direct size, but we can know that we're roughly the right size. We just got to add a couple of millimeters, but it's good for getting the proportion of our card and seeing what our card might look like. So I have my card that I'm picking. If I go to Affinity over here, I am going to do the same as previously. I'm going to use Cookie. And if I go over here, if I go to Pictures, I'm going to pick Cookie, which we did with I did this with the other class. But Cookie over here, Cookie is a Indian ringneck parakeet. And I'm going to put Cookie in there. So if you have your image, what I'd like you to do, you're going to go to File. And you're going to go to Place. And you're going to find wherever you stored. So I stored mine in Pictures. And I have my picture here of Cookie, the parrot. And you double press Cookie. And then you're going to press somewhere on your document. And it should paste the picture of Cookie. Yours will be your picture of your dog or your picture you want. Now, if you don't have a picture, I need you to go get one now. You're going to go to Google and get an image of something to put in there. You can even, if you don't, you can get pictures from online. You can get pictures from online by, hold on. So if you need an image from online, you can go to image search if you need one for just this lesson. You can go find these images. And what I'd like you to do is you can right click it if you're on a Windows PC and you can press save the image as. Now as it saves, we need it to be JPEG as it saves. You can also do options if the image won't let you download it for whatever reason, like it's on a different website. And we can have a shiny version of Cookie here if it's blue. You can, I know on Windows you can press Windows Shift S, and what that does is it brings a screenshot, and then you can drag the image you want, and it copies that to the clipboard. So then you can go into Affinity, and you can press Control V, and you can paste the image directly into Affinity. There is a Mac version of it, but I'm not sure how to do. Let me see. Is the Mac version Command Shift 4? Students are telling me if you press Command Shift 4 on your Mac, you can do the same thing. You can click it. That's if you just want to get it from here, and that's fine for this tutorial. But later, when we do like reports, we would want to know where we got our image from for our bibliography. So I have my cookie here, and I know that's my image. I'm going to delete this one. I don't need this one. But what I am going to do is I'm going to add this template. I'm going to see which one of these would best represent the cookie card. And so cookie is a bird, so obviously it's going to have to, Pidge is probably the best thing for me to base cookie off. I can't think if there's any other good Pokemon here to base cookie off, or maybe Farfetch'd. I'm going to base cookie off here. I'm going to base cookie off Pidgeot over here. So I'm just going to put this over here because you have the paperwork in front of you. We're not at the tutorial. I don't want to keep going back and forth from the image. So I'm actually going to go down here and I'm going to paste this card over here just so we know this is what we want the card to look somewhat like. Again, you have it with the paper in front of you. I don't have the paper in front of me because I have to have this tutorial open. But this is what I want the cookie to look like, and cookie's going to be somewhat in the middle of that card. So I have here everything I need. I can start making my card. I am going to go to the shape over here. As you go to the left-hand column, This is the shape. It's the rectangle tool, but it also has this little arrow in the bottom right-hand corner. If I right-click this, I can choose all these different shapes that I want. So if you look at the blank Pokemon card in front of you, that is a rectangle with rounded corners. So we want to select rounded rectangle tool. And then we're going to click somewhere on the page. So we're going to click and drag our image here. So now we've started doing our rectangle tool. We can now edit this. We can say, well, I have my rectangle tool. I can get my ruler, and I want to find out with that rectangle, what do I think the radius of that rectangle is? If I had to guess based on my drawing here, it looks like about 2.5 millimeters is the radius. So I can actually go here to corner. I can say rounded. And I can make it over here. I can change to absolute size. And the corner, I want it to be 2.5. And now, if I press the escape button, we see here that the rectangles have rounded corners. Next thing, is this the right size for my Pokemon card? No, this is not the right size. So we are going to adjust, and you can't see this, so I'm just going to, first thing, I'll adjust the color of this. The color I want this to be is I want this to be the color of the background of the card. So over here it's Pidgeotto, and Pidgeotto here is white, but I actually want Cookie to be green for his background. So we're going to go to the color tool over here in the top right-hand corner. Go to color. I want it to be green, so I'm going to drag this to green over here, and I'm going to pick a green that I want it to be that's the color of green I want. And now you can also see it easier on the whiteboard. Okay? Now, if you don't have the color, or your things might disappear. Oh, wrong button. What is the tool? Is it Control H? No. You might do something and all your things might disappear. I'm trying to show you what that would look like. Windows, Shift H. Okay. This is what's going to happen a lot. You're going to lose all these things on the side because you're going to press some button on your computer, right? All these things are going to disappear. It's going to happen. It's the most common issue students have. It means you've probably pressed a number of button combinations or you've dragged it outside of the screen. Something bad has happened. So here are the 4 steps we're going to do to get back all of our things so we can continue doing our drawing. We're going to go to Window, and we're going to go to Panels, and we're going to make sure here, we're going to untick the Hide button. It's going to show the panels. But these might still be missing, right? Even when we do that, we go to Panels, and we show it, and they're still not here. So then what we're going to do is we're going to go to View, and we're going to go to Tools, and we also want to make sure here that we have the Show button. Because if these are hidden, then that's how these ones on the left may also be disappeared. So for that, we go to View, Tools. I'm going to make sure these are shown. We have these tools on the side. Then to get all these things on the right back, we're going to go to Windows, and we're going to select the things that we want. The most important windows that we want are in general. We definitely want the color. How do I do this? So we want to unhide it, unhide. So we've got to make sure our panels, we've got to make sure there is no tick next to the hide. And then we're going to pick which panel we want in case we've lost them. The important ones we want color. We tick color, the color shows up here. We want, which other one did we have? We had transform. We definitely want transform. We want layers. We'll need layers today. And is there any other ones we want? I don't think we want anything else for this one. No, there's nothing else we want. And then we have these are floating windows, which means I can move them around. I like to, if you've used Google Chrome, it's very similar to that. If I want to make this layer inside this, I can just drag and it's inside there. And if I drag this to the side of the screen, not that, if I drag to the side of the screen, it should show up here. And when you start to get too many things, see how it has transform here? If I start adding more and more layers that we don't like, let's say we have heaps of them, if we try adding more and more, some of them are going to shorten their wording. So see how transform changes its wording to XFM. Like that's what transform is if it was trying to make it the letters smaller. But we don't need links and we don't need layers, so we can just delete these two. So the important ones we need color, transform, and layers. And if you have more, that's fine. But these are the three we're going to be using for this lesson. So we have our color, we're done. Transform is the next step we're going to do. We're going to transform means we're going to adjust the size of this. If we click this now, see how we have this blue border around it? We can now transform, we can change the size of it. So we can change the width of this Pokemon card. Do you remember what the width was? We measured it. What was the width? Somebody tell me, shout it out. 6 what? 6.7, almost. 6.3. I think it's 63.5 millimeters. Let's keep it all in millimeters because our model is in millimeters. So 63.5 millimeters. And we press enter. Boom, it's going to be that wide. The height was 87. Yeah, we'll do 88. 88, enter. So now that's the right proportions for the card. Okay. So now this is the background. Our card has its lovely background. We can now start doing stuff. We know our card design. We're going to end up having to get Cookie. But we have a problem. Cookie is hiding, right? He's a sneaky little parrot, Cookie. Cookie is hiding behind the background. This is not ideal, right? So what we have over here, when we go to the layers, let's have a look at what's happening over here. In the layers is like, each one of the layers is like a sticker. And it goes from bottom to top. So what we're saying here is first, you have your piece of paper, put a sticker of Cookie is the first thing that's done then. And then we have a sticker of Pidgeotto. And then lastly, we have the sticker of the rectangle, the background. Now that's not the right order, is it? So we've got to switch this around. So what we want is we want Cookie to be on top of the rectangle. So we're going to drag Cookie until Cookie is above the rectangle. And so now when we move Cookie around, right, Cookie is now above the rectangle. And we can then do stuff later. We can adjust the size of Cookie if we want, right? But for now, we know that Cookie has to be in front of the rectangle in our playing card. Okay, so we have Cookie there. What's the next thing we should do? Our card consists of 4 major things. We have the picture. We've done the picture of Cookie. We have the background. What other 2 features does our playing card have? We have our borders, right? So we're going to do our borders. To do the borders, we are going to be using a tool called the contour tool. So what the contour tool does is it makes an offset of a stroke. So a stroke is like a line in our Affinity design. And to see how the border here, see how it follows the card all around. That's what we're going to do. Before we do that, what I would like us to do is I want us to actually start naming these things. Because we're going to start to get confused as we get more and more things in here. We're going to get confused what is what. So to rename it, we just double click this and we can rename this object. So we can name this background. And we can rename this template, because that's our template or what we can base our design off. And this one, I'm going to rename this one to picture of Cookie. Picture of Cookie. So before we do our border, what I need us to do is I need us to go to our background over here, and we need to right click this background and we need to duplicate it. We're going to duplicate our backgrounds. Now there's 2 backgrounds, right? We can see because if I click this one and I drag it, do you see here how there's two backgrounds? There's two backgrounds. The reason why we needed two backgrounds is when we want to make the border, we're going to destroy the original. So we don't want to, we want to keep the background, so we're going to make a copy. So when we destroy it, we've destroyed the copy, not the original background. And we can rename this one, instead of background, we can call this background dash border. So we're going to use our contour tool. Press our contour tool over here, and we're going to select this shape. And then you can look at your models and look at how thick your border is on the model you have, on the thing you have there. And I think it looks about 2 millimeters. So over here with the contour tool, up here, I want us to say 2 millimeters. And then we press enter. So notice what it's done here is it's made this. It's made it 2 millimeters larger. That's fine, but what we actually want to do is we actually want it to be 2 millimeters smaller because we've done the maximum size of our card. So to make it smaller, instead of 2 millimeters, we're going to do -2. And it comes down. Then what we want to do, we want to tell our thing, we want to make our thing forced open. Is that the right option? So we want to press this one over here. We want to force to close. And so what force close does is the border, it's just doing the inside here. So now actually what I've done here is I've made a bit of a boo-boo. I've done a bit of a mistake here. I've done them in the wrong order. This one over here is actually the border. What I've called here is the border is actually the background. And this one is, we're going to call this one the border. My goal now is with the border, we want the border to be a different color. I want the border to be yellow because that's what Pokemon cards have it as yellow. And I'm going to click this mouse button over here, the move tool. I want this border to go like that and overlap. And that's going to be the border of my Pokemon card. Now, let's say you might not always be lucky. You might really be struggling to try to align it because that doesn't look good for the card. That doesn't look good. It might be really struggling to make the tool, to make it perfectly on top of each other. And Affinity has some features that you can align the card together. To align this, what I'm going to get you to do is select one of the shapes, hold down your control button and select, sorry, not the control, the shift button. So you select one of the shapes, hold down the shift button, and before I press it on the screen, can you please have a look at the board? Look at what happens here, especially notice this corner over here. Look at what happens here. When I click this second one, what's happened here? It's showing here, select this object and select this object. Show me in total what this would be a square over both the objects. And that's what this little thing over here is showing. I have two objects selected here, and if I go to my layers, we can actually see that it's selected these two in the layers. Up here, this little segment over here, this is the alignment tool. If I press this, I can choose ways to align this. I want to align these, align them through the center, and it aligns them this way, and I want to align them horizontally through the center. And now I have this perfect border, and I'll press apply. Then what I'm going to do is when I move them, I don't want to move them separately. I want to always now move these together. So I don't want to accidentally just move one side, especially when I want to like get Cookie and align Cookie over here. So I'll just undo what I did there. Undo. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to select both of these by dragging over them. See that they're both here. I'm going to right click and I'm going to group these together. And now that they're grouped together, notice here how they've been combined together. So now when I move one, they're both going to move together. And that's my background. I can do the same thing with Cookie now. I'm going to put Cookie here. I'm going to make Cookie slightly smaller. I can just manually drag Cookie by moving the nodes, moving the corner pieces. That's how big I want Cookie to be. For cookie, I think, can I do the same thing? Can I duplicate cookie? And can I make a contour tool with cookie? And make this -2. I don't know if that's going to work. Color. Oh. No, that didn't work. That made Cookie very angry when I did that. So instead of that, I'm going to undo. So what we'll do is for this Pokemon card, I think it's best if we get the card, so we get the picture, and we know the size of the picture. We can go to transform. We can see the size over here. This one is 44 by 5. What I'm going to do is, to make your job simpler, pick a scale that's going to make sense, because not all of your pictures are going to be perfectly square. Some of yours are going to be rectangular. Look at the numbers here. They're going to be not nice looking numbers. So here it's 44.5 and 44.5. So I'll just remember that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a border that goes over cookies. So to do that, I'm going to go to rounded rectangle. I'm going to click it and I'm going to draw a rectangle. And this rectangle, I'm going to make this slightly larger than cookie. So I'm going to make this 46 by 46. We want this to be at least 2 millimeters larger than cookie. And when I click and drag this, this is going to be the border for cookie. And I'm going to, with the rounded edges, I'm going to go make the absolute size, and I'm going to make the edges only 2 millimeters. Yep, we got that size there. And then I am going to, how am I going to do this? I'm going to make a, I'm going to use the contour tool. What shape did I just made? And I'm going to make a contour tool. I'm going to make this -2. And so I have these two shapes here. And then I'll go to color and I will make, it should show up. There we go, that works. Let's make it 1 millimeter, -1. And this one is going to be slightly more gold. So what I've done there is I had the square. When it comes to the border, here's the option for the colors in Affinity. This is when we have when we're changing the colors of something, there's two basic ways we can change the color. We can either change the fill or we can change the stroke. The stroke is the lines, the outside, the edges. So if you go over here, if I change this color of the stroke, it should be the border. If I zoom in, see it, it's got this line over here, it's doing that border. Now we can do this for this one, it doesn't look that bad. And what we should do is, we should actually add another window. We should add our stroke. Where would stroke be? Stroke is under vector. We can make our stroke, so we can make our stroke 0.5. And so what we've done here is we've made a border on the border. And the fill is the inside. So that's where I can change the inside color of the cookie card. Okay. What's next? What else are we missing from our card here? We are, let's start doing some text. So for text, we will press this text button over here, artistic text tool. We'll click this button over here, and then we just press where we want our text to be. So I want my text to be here, and we can click and drag it. We can move it around, but we'll move it after we write it. Cookie over here, and we can do things like we can change our font. If we want, we can highlight. We can change our font. There we go. That could be cookie. No, that's not. Cookie's more of a There you go, that's more of a cookie card. And then we can change everything from our size, our underlining, and all that stuff, the standard text features. And then once we finish that, we can press escape. We can then move that to where we want cookie to be. And I still want it to be larger. Cookie can be that. Cool. So next thing, we have our name for cookie, and then we need our attacks, because cookie is going to be fighting. So the same thing with our text, we can do our attack over here, and I'm going to say, how to spell cashew nut? How to spell cashew nut? Yeah. C-A? Steel cashew nut, which is what cookie is famous for in my house. So we have cookie, and cookie steals cashew nut, and then I'll just that could be the name of the attack is in bold. So I'll do that by just moving that now. And then underneath it, I'll say what that thing does. And for this one, I want to pick a different text, a much lighter looking text like Arial. Cookie steals one energy from opponent's Pokemon. Now, as you're typing in here, we're noticing this is a long word. It's not going to automatically shrink it to the size you want. So what you have to do is you have to press like the enter button, and you have to physically make a new thing to bring it down. So I'm going to do this, and I'm going to shrink this. And that's going to be, Cookie's just going to have one attack for now. There. And what else do the Pokemon attacks need? They need a damage, and they need an energy. And then that will be the last thing that we'll do for our tutorial. The attack needs some damage. So we'll go over here and we'll say, for this attack, let's say it does 30 damage. And now this is where, next lesson, I'm going to let you do some more advanced stuff, because we see here these energy symbols, how they look quite complicated. For now, let's just make our energy symbol just look like a circle. All right, we'll just make a circle, and we'll pick a size that makes sense. If we look at our diagrams, we'll see there energy symbols are about, what, 3 mil? So we'll go to transform, 3 by 3. Cool. And the color, I want this to be green, but a darker green. And I'm going to drag this, I want to drag this over here like that. But I can make this, I can do it again by control copy, and I can make 2 of them. So that this thing costs 2 things. And later I can make this more detailed. I can add a picture of like a leaf, or if we look at any of these symbols over here, I can make it like a cog or a heart, or you can manually draw, or even a cat. Wow. I don't think we need a cat tool, but it's there. So that's basically enough for Cookie. I can start adding more and more detail as I want with this card. But that's what we need. And the last thing I want to do is how you're going to send this to me when you submit it for the task. And I'll give you the task after the tutorial or next lesson. I'm going to ask you to upload this to PDF so I can have it as a export tool. So before you do that, you're going to be, you won't have this template here, but I'm just going to hide this. We don't need this template. Hide. So this is your card you're going to be sending me. How you're going to be sending this is up here. You don't have export to PDF, if I think correctly, based on your designs. So you're going to press this arrow and go down here. You're not going to have this option. How you're getting it is you're going to press this plus button, and you're going to go down to PDF over here, and you're going to turn that slider is on. And then you're going to press that PDF button, and you're going to press export. And then it's going to ask you to save this. Now, how you're going to save it for your assessment task, sorry, your in-class task, is you're going to save this all the same way. You're going to save it, everything is you're going to have your name first. So Pertain. Then you're going to save what medium this is going to be printed in. So I know how it's going to be sent. So this can be paper is what this is going to be printed in, because later when we do stuff with the scenery cube, we're going to choose if it's going to be made of wood or plastic. It's going to be paper. And the last one, you're going to say what this is. This is cookie, not coolie. Cookie Pokemon card is what that last one is. And it's going to be saved as a PDF. And that's what you're going to be uploading to your Google Classroom when it's there. So it's over here. That's the thing. That's going to be saved. All right, before I end the tutorial, is there anything you'd like to ask that could be saved in the tutorial? Otherwise, I'll stop the tutorial and I'll upload the task for you and you can make your playing cards. Okay.